Fury from the far side of the galaxy, blah blah blah, you know how my intro goes. So anyways, you know what Steam is? You know, that online game store for PCs and stuff? Well, sometimes they have these small little events, or festivals as they call them, where a bunch of games and creators and stuff group up their games, put them on sale, and be like, oh hey, you're all same topic, wanna buy them? Now I'm best delivery, but I don't have a script for this, so we're gonna keep it. Well, beginning on Thursday and ending on Monday, yeah, Monday, so if you wanna buy these games, be sure to do it quick, Steam has Anthro Festival 2025, a celebration of achievements in anthropomorphic arts. The funniest part about this is that I have played a non-insignificant chunk of the games on this list, but fuck it, I may as well cover them again, give some creators some shoutouts, especially considering they're all a bunch of indies. Well, most of them are indies. There are also some games that aren't out yet or on early access, and I would like to talk about them, so that's cool too. The first game I want to recommend isn't a game at all, rather it's an entire trilogy. The Fuga Melodies of Steel trilogy. You know CyberConnect 2? Those guys that make all those Naruto games, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the Demon Slayer games, and all that business? You ever ask yourself what all those mid-anime games are funding? Turns out, they're furries. The entire lot of them are furries. They even do their own furry magazine. And they do make furry games, specifically with their Little Tales Bronx series. I'd recommend you Soul to Robo, one of the best DS games of all time, if it was on Steam. But you know what is on Steam? The prequels to Soul to Robo. Fuga, Melodies of Steel. To explain a very good plot very poorly, Fuga is all about 12 French children who suddenly get attacked by the dog Nazis, so they grab an ancient superweapon from a nearby cave and go to save their families while committing copious amounts of war crimes along the way. It's a turn-based JRPG, and I've gotta say, it's one of the best I've ever played, and I've played a lot of them. From Fire Emblem to SMT to Pokemon to Final Fantasy, Fuga outdoes them all, and by a lot. You've got a front line with backline support skills, weaknesses, armor breaking, co-op attacks, leader skills, ultimates, hero mode, assist, just so much. And the game's hard enough to make you use all of it. Throw on a great story and one of the most gorgeous art styles that I've ever seen, and you've got a great game that's truly underrated. Like seriously, I don't know why more people in general haven't played it. I like the series so much, I spent like $200 importing the Japanese deluxe version of the Fuga trilogy. I'm not even joking, it came with a little figurine, it was great. Above all else on this list, Fuga are the games you absolutely must buy. The next furry game I'd like to cover is another must-play, that being Brock the Investigator. It follows a down-on-his-luck investigator Brock and his stepson Graf as they both get involved in a wide-stretching conspiracy theory in their post-apocalyptic world. What sets this game apart from so many other things is that it's a point-and-click adventure and an isometric beat-em-up. It uses these two halves very well, where sometimes you can bypass a puzzle through violence and sometimes you need to break something to solve a puzzle. And the game is packed with content. There are 11 different endings and a bonus cutscene if you collect all the hints. And the game is fully voice acted, and for an indie work, the voice acting is surprisingly good. And just recently, and I do mean recently, like a week ago, it got its DLC, the Brawl Bar, which was surprisingly good too. Despite it being called the Brawl Bar and focusing on the beat 'em up part of the game, the challenges are actually surprisingly varied. They were a ton of fun to go through, and I recommend you snag them both while they're on discount. For a change of pace of something I haven't covered before on this channel, Death's Door is a really good game too. It's a top-down action-adventure game, a bit like The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, if you know what that is. Well, shit, I hope you know what that is. And while it does have some fundamental similarities to Zelda, it does play a lot like Dark Souls, if you know what that is, which, shit, I also hope you know what that is. The real standout parts about this game are definitely the visuals and the music, because they come together to create an experience that truly feels kind of, mythical, for lack of a better term. Well, perhaps not mythical, more like a fable, where there's clear lessons to be learned in the tragedies of a bunch of the characters. It's one of those games I always tell myself I should stream, and then I just never do. I would say I would do it soon, but Silksong is coming out, so I think we all know what my schedule is looking like. Speaking of games that I should stream but just haven't, we have Stories, the Path of Destinies. It's a bit like Shadow the Hedgehog. Wait, let me try that again. That's not exactly a glowing recommendation. The game has multiple endings and varying levels, all along a semi-linear path system, hence the name Stories, the Path of Destinies. The game follows Reynardo, an ex-pirate forced to get back into the action when his home is attacked by the Empire. Things end tragically, but thanks to a magic book, he's allowed to try and try again. Once more, hence the name, Stories, Path of Destinies. Just like Death's Door, this game is a top-down adventure, though unlike Death's Door, this is far more of a hack and slash than a Souls-like. It's a lot of fun, and I do recommend you try it, and maybe, just maybe, one of these days I'll actually get to streaming it. There's also the follow-up game, Omen Sight, which is also part of the Anthro Fest sale, but I'll be honest, despite owning the game for years now, I have literally never even opened it. I would say I'd get to it eventually, but I don't think I will, to be honest. Briefly interrupting your video because your friend Furry here is a major dum-dum who forgets to mention a lot of things. Namely, that all these games will be linked in the description, so do be sure to check them out, and also be sure to browse the Anthrofest page yourself, because there are more games that I haven't talked about that I really think you should give a look at. And secondly, do be sure to like and subscribe, also got my Ko-fi and Patreon links in the description. Almost forgot that ad part too. For the next game, let's talk about Astatos, which I know I've mentioned before, but I really just can't recommend this game enough. It's a bit hard to explain. Basically, think of a fantastical version of Fate Stay Night, where instead of all the historical figures being anime girls, all the inspired historical figures are buff furry men. Our protagonists, Vitis and Velisis, are caught in the middle of the Civil War and they summon these heroes to help them out, but things get more complicated when they're forced to do politics and get involved with things actually happening. And the choices tend to be split down the middle, where you either follow the god Makari Hari's advice or the devil Mukaki. And the choices in this game are way better than like anything I've ever seen, because they're so material and real rather than dealing with these high-minded or vague philosophies. And the way you do that is by playing a card game. Unironically, you play a card game. You can play it solo or with friends online. It's kind of weird. I like it though. The game's far from finished, but it's still actively being worked on, so I do suggest you give it a go. The next game on my list is Back to the Dawn, an escapist-like game all about furry inmates trying to escape furry prison. When I played the game, it was still back in its early days, although now it has entered its 1.0 state. The game follows two protagonists, depending on your choosing, who are caught in a web of conspiracy and lies. We have the fox, Thomas, the journalist who ends up in jail after stumbling upon a conspiracy, but not even he knows exactly what he stumbled upon. And Bob, the sea sponge, well, Black Panther actually, an undercover detective who needs to pose as a criminal to get some secret information. Let's just hope none of the prisoners find out who he really is. We do know there is a third character coming at some point, but for now we have just the two. Honestly, the gameplay is very hard for me to talk about because again, I haven't played many simulator games or games like this at all, so I don't really know what mechanics are unique or interesting to this. Next up on the list is Critter Cove, another simulation game, but this one's more like Animal Crossing. Except here, you can choose to be a furry. This is yet another early access, work in progress kind of game, and I'll admit I haven't played it in a while, so a lot of the new updates are over my head. But I do remember that I liked what I saw in the game from the beginning. Despite the cozy nature of the game, it's actually post-apocalyptic, where you build with the things you scavenge from across the archipelago. It creates a tone that's honestly very similar to just walking around Hyrule in Breath of the Wild, where yeah, bad things happened in the past, but life goes on. There's nothing you can do to change the past, and might as well find new residents shipwrecked on islands, assign them jobs that they'll love or hate, and do advertising campaigns to get more tourists to your island. And also, the game looked way better than I expected it to. Like seriously, the underwater graphics in this game are probably the best of any game I've seen. They just look so good. The next game we have is Ware Cleaner, and I'm gonna keep it quick because you may have noticed that I'm not using my personal game footage for this, rather just the trailers. When I said I'd be taking it easy, I meant I'd be taking it easy. You play as Kyle, a janitor who works the night shift despite the fact that he's a werewolf and will kill anyone on sight, which just makes more of a mess you have to clean, but the game stands out for having a good difficulty scale where things get harder and harder until you reach the final level. It's great. I could say more, but this trailer is only 30 seconds long, so we're moving the fuck on. Next up, we have Atlyss, a unique MMO-like game developed by an indie dev. There's no real major plot or anything. Your custom character is just one of the many lost souls called to the world of Atlyss to help its problems. It's a third-person action game. You've got your block, your dodge, and your attacks, the moveset of which is decided by your weapon. The real draw of the game is, of course, the titties on the NPCs, but there's also the multiplayer aspects where it's just a ton of fun to be playing with friends or helped by strangers. I tend to play a lot of single-player games, so my experience with Atlyss was really unique and a ton of fun. Now, does anyone here remember Overgrowth? Yeah, that one game that was popular a little while back. Okay, well, I say a little while back like it wasn't in middle school, which was fucking years ago at this point. Overgrowth is a unique action game where all the attacks are kind of context sensitive, like jumping in The Legend of Zelda, which is weird but works surprisingly well for creating a fluid system. The main plot of Overgrowth follows Turner, a rabbit who's followed by violence wherever he goes. A lot of it is necessary, a lot of it is justified, but that doesn't stop violence from being violence. The game also has a pretty big emphasis on platforming, considering you are playing as a rabbit and their ups are really good. The coolest part about Overgrowth is the community, where there are a lot of custom maps and stuff to be played for yourself. It really does make it seem like Overgrowth has limitless content, so even after you finish all the stuff in the main game, there's still oodles and oodles and oodles for you to do. Now, let's cover an old favorite of mine, the digital board game Armello. The once great king has fallen into corruption and madness, and your clan, whichever that may be, has decided it is their time to rule. The cool thing is that there's multiple ways to win this game, the first being to kill the king. You can do that through regular martial prowess, or perhaps succumb to the rot yourself, or maybe you're gonna gather all the spiritual stones and purify all the rot out of him. But be careful, because he can kill you, but if it's a double homicide, then the next winner becomes whoever has the most prestige, which will also happen naturally whenever he dies at the end of the game. The fact that the ways to win are all so viable means that as you compete against the other players and the NPCs, by the time you actually do become king, the way you win wasn't actually what you're doing at the start. It is a hectic race for the crown, and it is a ton of fun. One game I also want to talk about is Kristala, a Souls-like that's all about cats, though calling it a Souls-like is actually a bit of a misnomer because it's more like a Sekiro-like. Wow, that was like a lot of likes. From the attacks to the magic and these sort of weapon art-like things you can do, they all feel good and fun. And the level design isn't half bad either. It actually had me exploring and looking around for things, which is a first I can say for a lot of Souls-likes, forgetting the part of Souls that made Souls Souls. It's nearly 8 AM, can you tell by the kind of messy way I'm describing this stuff? My only criticism is one, the UI, where it just doesn't fade out or seems a bit too obnoxious. Like, can that side quest thingy be smaller? It's just kind of there, and I appreciate having it, but I wish it was easier to not see. And two, the physics seem a little weird, like when you do a wall jump it's oddly fast, and you know how Sekiro does that like skid to a stop thing when you sharply change directions? Yeah, that doesn't happen here, and while the second thing isn't too bad, it just does take a while to get used to. The game is early access, but it has a demo and full roadmap, so it's not unsurprising this was rated very positive on Steam. With one game out of the way, let's move on to the next one. The one you probably know of already because it has been fairly popular and in the public consciousness for a while is Breeze in the Clouds. A 2D beat 'em up where you play as a little corgi literally fighting against pollution. I'm not gonna lie, the fact that the game is so cute is part of the reason why I've been following it for so long. The next game that isn't quite out yet but I want to talk about is Brew. It has a demo, and from what I played of it, the game really impressed me. It's a third-person shooter roguelike, but what really sets it apart is its unique potion system, where along the way in the levels you can craft different potions that have different effects. What's cool is that you can do different things with the potions themselves. You can drink them, throw them out like a grenade, or load them in your gun. Though I do wish the base ingredients for your potions were more common, make the main gimmick more present in the gameplay, you know? But I do like that the potions themselves also have modifiers you can find in the levels, further adding variety to what your potions can do. The game comes out in October, so I do recommend you keep your eye out for it. And the last game on this list I'd like to talk about is Crave, a furry Metroidvania, which from my Talk About 6 song you can probably guess that I already love. There's not much info about it, not even a release date, but I do love the gorgeous hand-drawn visuals in this dark fantasy style world. I guess you could say I'm really craving more info about Crave. It's so late in the night that it has come early in the morning, so let's just get this over with and get to our Patreon shoutouts. Oh, and also I forgot to mention, link to all these games in the description. Really my bad for forgetting that. For 3 stars, we have special thanks to John, SkyKing64, Edison Wera, Garen LaFaze, Zora Chow, Venomous, Riley Lumizion 8, The Good Old Days, and Destinies. For 4 stars, we have McCoydes, Law, and Utterly All, The Visions of Eternity. For our super duper special 5-star shoutouts, we have Hodari Lion, The End of Dragons. Thank you for watching. Do be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out all those games. As always, this is your host Furry, signing out.